The day your soil goes silent is the day most gardeners start over. Nothing grows, nothing moves, and even compost seems to vanish without a trace of life. That's the moment many people give up. But what if the problem isn't your soil's ability to grow, but its lack of life beneath the surface? In this guide, you're about to learn a simple, time-tested method that quietly restores biological activity using something most households throw away. This isn't hype, and it isn't new. Variations of this method have been used for generations in traditional farming systems across Asia, long before modern fertilizers took over, and when you understand how it works, you'll realize why it can transform dead soil in just days. Before we go further, take a second to like the video, share it with someone struggling with their garden, drop a comment with your experience, and subscribe to Nature's Flora for more grounded, practical methods that actually work. At the core of this method is fermented rice water, a byproduct of rinsing rice that becomes biologically active after sitting for a couple of days. While it may seem too simple to matter, fermentation changes everything. As the liquid sits, naturally occurring microbes begin to multiply, feeding on the starch released from the rice. What you end up with is a living solution filled with beneficial bacteria, mild acids, enzymes, and trace nutrients. Historically, farmers didn't have access to synthetic fertilizers, so they relied on fermentation to unlock nutrients and stimulate soil biology. This approach worked because healthy soil is not just dirt, it is a living system. Once that life disappears, no amount of dry compost or mulch can fully restore it on its own. What fermented rice water does is reintroduce that missing biological spark. One of the most surprising outcomes people report is the sudden appearance of earthworms within days. This isn't coincidence. Worms are highly sensitive to microbial activity. They are not drawn to soil randomly. They follow food sources, and their primary food is microorganisms breaking down organic matter. When fermented rice water is applied, it rapidly increases microbial populations in the soil. These microbes begin decomposing any available organic material, releasing compounds that worms detect almost immediately. At the same time, the liquid softens compacted soil and improves moisture retention, creating the exact environment worms prefer. This combination of food and habitat triggers a rapid migration or resurfacing of worms already present deeper in the soil. In some cases, it even encourages dormant cocoons to hatch. What looks like a sudden invasion is actually a reactivation of life that was already there, just waiting for the right conditions. The effectiveness of this method depends on getting the preparation right. So, start with 1 cup of uncooked rice and rinse it in 2 cups of clean water. Stir or agitate it thoroughly until the water turns cloudy with starch. Then, strain out the rice and keep only the liquid. Pour this starchy water into a clean container, preferably glass, and cover it with a breathable cloth. This allows gases to escape while preventing contamination. Leave it at room temperature for about 48 hours. During this time, fermentation begins, and the liquid develops a slightly sour smell, kind of like yogurt or mild vinegar. That scent is your signal that it's ready. Before applying it to your soil, dilute the fermented liquid. A safe and effective ratio is 1 part fermented rice water to 4 parts non-chlorinated water. This prevents overwhelming the soil with too much acidity while still delivering a strong microbial boost. Once applied, the transformation begins below ground before you see anything above it. The microbes in the liquid multiply rapidly, feeding on organic residues and interacting with native soil organisms. This activity generates mild heat, improves nutrient cycling, and starts breaking down compacted soil structure. Within a short time, the soil begins to hold moisture more effectively. Instead of water running off or pooling, it gets absorbed and retained. Air pockets form as microbes and worms move through the soil, improving oxygen flow to plant roots. This is the foundation of fertile soil, not just nutrients, but structure and life working together. As worms move through the area, they leave behind castings that are just packed with bioavailable nutrients. These castings also contain beneficial microbes, and that helps to spread even more biological activity throughout the soil. Over time, this creates a self-sustaining cycle where, life just keeps building upon itself. Consistency is what turns this from a quick fix into a long-term solution. applying fermented rice water every 2 weeks during the growing season really helps maintain microbial populations and keeps worms active in the area. It's especially effective in soils that are dry, compacted, or, honestly, just lacking visible life. Application should always be directed at the soil rather than the plant leaves. It's most effective when the ground isn't already waterlogged, so the liquid can actually penetrate and spread evenly. Over time, you'll notice the soil becoming darker, softer, and just a whole lot easier to work with. What makes this approach powerful is not just its simplicity, but its alignment with how soil naturally functions. Instead of forcing growth with synthetic inputs, it rebuilds the biological foundation that supports everything else. This is why the results can show up so quickly and, honestly, last far longer than you might expect. For anyone dealing with lifeless soil, this method offers a really practical reset. It doesn't require expensive products or complicated systems, just an understanding that soil health begins with life itself. If this opened your eyes to a new way of restoring your garden, make sure to subscribe to Nature's Flora, share this with someone who needs it, and stay tuned for more methods rooted in real, proven practices.